And here are today's top headlines. Thank you for being with us. News story number 1. Donald Trump's defense attorney says the former president never asked Mike Pence to overturn the will of the voters in the 2020 election, but only wanted the former vice president to pause the certification of votes to allow states to investigate his claims of election fraud. Those baseless claims had already been rejected by numerous courts. Speaking on several Sunday morning news shows, Trump attorney John Lauro said Trump was within his First Amendment rights when he petitioned Pence to delay the certification on January 6, 2021. In quotes, "The ultimate ask of Vice President Pence was to pause the counts and allow the states to weigh in," end quotes, Lauro said on CBS's Face the Nation. He added that Trump was convinced there were irregularities in the election that needed to be investigated by state authorities before the election could be certified. Next news. News story number 2. The Kansas bar, where 9 people were wounded by gunfire last month, has permanently closed. An attorney for City Knights told the Wichita Eagle that the club owner felt he had no choice but to close because of all the negative publicity and because police blaming the bar for the shooting. In quotes, "The city has basically made it so burdensome to stay open, they can't stay open," end quotes, attorney Charlie O'Hara said. In quotes, "He feels like he was singled out and blamed for a lot of things that happen all over the city, and they don't blame other people," end quotes. Next news. News story number 3. A Texas judge ruled Friday the state's abortion ban has proven too restrictive for women with serious pregnancy complications and must allow exceptions without doctors fearing the threat of criminal charges. The ruling was the first to undercut Texas's law since it took effect in 2022 and delivers a major victory to abortion rights supporters who see the case as a potential blueprint to weaken restrictions elsewhere that Republican-led states have rushed to implement. However, the injunction was immediately blocked by an appeal to the Texas Supreme Court. The state attorney general's office said, in quotes, the trial court's injunction is ineffective and the status quo remains in effect," end quotes, spokesperson Paige Willie said in an email. Next news. News story number 4. A hastily called summer special election over a Republican-pushed measure that would make it harder for Ohio voters to pass future constitutional amendments, including one on the November ballot to guarantee abortion rights, has driven off the charts early turnout before Tuesday's final days of voting. Early turnout has been so heavy that some election offices are straining to manage the load and trying to recruit additional poll workers. In quotes, "This is gubernatorial level turnout," end quotes, said Regine Johnson, deputy director of the Board of Elections in Stark County. As of Thursday, the board was about 100 volunteers short of the number it targeted as the minimum to be fully staffed. Next news. News story number 5. People seeking medication abortions on the U.S. territory of Guam must have an in-person consultation with a doctor. A federal appeals court says even though the nearest physician willing to prescribe the medication is 3,800 miles, that's 6,100 kilometers, an 8-hour flight away. The ruling handed down Tuesday by a unanimous three-judge panel on the Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals could make it even more difficult for pregnant women to access abortions on the remote island where 85% of residents are Catholic and about 1 in 5 live below the poverty line. The last doctor to provide abortions in Guam retired in 2018, leaving people seeking the procedure without local options. That changed in 2021 when a lower court partially lifted the territory's in-person consultation requirement and said 2 Guam licensed physicians in Hawaii could provide medical abortions via telemedicine to people in Guam. We're going to take a short break from the daily global English news update of Millennium News TV 24/7. Please stay with us. Thank you.
Welcome to the world of Millennium News 24. We bring news, we analyze news, and we make a bridge between you and the eventful world. 24/7 Millennium News 24 team is at your service. Don't miss today's America, Editorial Today, and Global Democracy with host Tofader Noor. You also won't want to miss Todd Goldfinger's show, Goldfinger Music Hour, Noon News with host Todd Goldfinger. And to stay connected with all top and trending news, don't even miss Millennium News Hour with host Tanziba Nouri. Millennium News 24 is available to be watched free for all LED TVs such as Sony, Samsung, LG, Roku TV, Amazon TV, and Apple TV. And also in all European countries and Australia, available with the Sky Network, Worldwide Jadoo TV, Radiant IPTV, Worldwide Jago BD Network, and Horizon Satellite globally. Millennium TV 24 News, news you need to know.
Hello, and welcome back to Millennium News TV 24/7 Daily Global News Update in English. My name's Todd Goldfinger, and here's the continuation of today's top stories. Thank you for being with us. News story number 6. A federal judge has ruled that it would violate Idaho medical providers' free speech rights to sanction them for referring patients to out-of-state abortion services, rejecting the state attorney general's interpretation of Idaho's abortion ban. Idaho's law makes it illegal to perform an attempt to perform an abortion, a crime punishable by 2 to 5 years in prison. It also makes it unlawful for healthcare professionals to assist in the provision or attempted provision of one, with the penalty being the suspension or loss of their medical license. Republican Idaho Attorney General Raul Labrador wrote a letter to a conservative lawmaker in March in which he opined that referring a patient to legal abortion services in other states would constitute assisting in an abortion or attempted abortion, and thus would require the suspension of the health professional's license. Next news. News story number 7. Democratic presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. rose to prominence during the COVID-19 pandemic because of his strident opposition to vaccines. Yet he insists he's not anti-vaccine. He has associated with influential people on the far right, including Tucker Carlson, Steve Bannon, and Michael Flynn, to raise his profile. Yet he portrays himself as a true Democrat, inheriting the mantle of the Kennedy family. As he challenges President Joe Biden, the stories he tells on the campaign trail about himself, his life's work, and what he stands for are often the opposites of what his record actually shows. Next news. News story number 8. President Joe Biden will travel to Arizona, New Mexico, and Utah next week and is expected to talk about his administration's efforts to combat climate change as the region endures a brutally hot summer with soaring temperatures, the White House said Monday. President Biden is expected to discuss the Inflation Reduction Act, America's most significant response to climate change, and the push toward more clean energy manufacturing. The act aims to spur clean energy on a scale that will bend the arc of U.S. greenhouse gas emissions. July has been the hottest month ever. President Biden last week announced new steps to protect workers in extreme heat, including measures to improve weather forecasts and making drinking water more accessible. Next news. News story number 9. Robert F. Kennedy, who is running as a Democrat against President Joe Biden, tells many stories on the campaign trail about himself, his life work, and what he stands for, and are the opposite of what the record actually shows. The Associated Press found that Kennedy's insistence that he is not anti-vaccine doesn't square with his long record of opposition to vaccines. His claims that he is a true Democrat inheriting the mantle of his famous family are contradicted by his alignment with the far right figures and support from Republicans. And despite listing the environment as a campaign priority, he has pushed Bitcoin, a cryptocurrency that requires massive amounts of electricity from supercomputers to generate new coins, prompting most environmental advocates to loudly oppose it. Next news. News story number 10. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken on Saturday pushed back against Australian demands for an end to WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange's prosecution, saying the Australian citizen was accused of very serious criminal conduct, end quotes, in publishing a trove of classified documents more than a decade ago. Australia's centre-left Labour Party government has been arguing since winning the elections last year that the United States should end its pursuit of the 52-year-old who has spent 4 years in a British prison fighting extradition to the United States. Assange's freedom is widely seen as a test of Australia's leverage with President Joe Biden's administration. This has been the Daily Global English News Update of Millennium News TV 24/7. My name is Todd Goldfinger, and I thank you for watching. Please log in to get the latest news on all of our social networking sites. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. On TikTok, we are Millennium News 24. Also, our YouTube channel is News Channel M24. Viewers now on both network broadcasting Android and iOS devices, Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, also all smart TV platforms. Please enjoy our entertainment, our latest news, views, and editorials, our Millennium TV apps, Millennium TV USA Android, Millennium News Google, www.millenniumtv24.com. Please stay with Millennium News 24/7. Thank you so much, and God bless you. Have a peaceful day.
It's called Guns Away. Let's go. All music right here is our music.